Is there? Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Oddcast podcast.
Off the record.
I'm, of course, Blackie.
I'm Erica.
Okay, we're having issues with this mouse. We're just having, it's like we're rookies here. Oh, there we go. Let's get this off the screen. Let's see how that works.
There we are.
There we go. All right. Well, I'm Blackie.
I'm Erica.
Thanks for joining us and our little mess up there. We appreciate it. You being here. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday. I know here it's 82.
Warm.
Well, now it's 79 out.
And windy.
Yeah. We were going to do the show outside like we said last week we were going to do outside. But today we got wind and it blowing everything around. So we came back inside. So let's acknowledge who's here today. I see Brother Mark Green. I see Denise. Hello, Denise. Gary, the super moderator Gary's here today. Brother Billy, Tammy, Bigfoot 30. I think it's Bigfoot 30. Bigfoot Fans 33. Nice to see everybody here.
Yeah.
Wendell, I'm glad you could all join us today. It's an interesting subject today.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it really affects all of us.
It affects us a lot. We did an AI show probably 3-4 months ago, just about basically how AI was going to affect our lives as in machinery, other things not similar to this, because this is something we're focusing on that's happening every day right now. And I really got kind of sick of it. And then an incident came up, I guess last week, that I wanted to kind of talk about just a little bit, because I don't want to touch on it. Everybody's talking about it, but we'll talk about that at the end of the show. Anyway, we're glad you're here. And I guess we don't have a whole lot to say, but thanks for being here. Hope everybody's doing great. And we will get on with the show. And here we go. Propaganda used to be obvious back in, the World War II era and World War I. It was flyers, pamphlets dropped from the sky, political ads, that kind of. But now with AI, it looks truth. It sounds like your friends, your news, your feed, but it's designed to influence you quietly, precisely, at scale. AI doesn't need to fool everyone, just some. It just needs to divide us, confuse us, and make us question what is real. Because once truth becomes uncertain, control becomes easy. So the real question is this the truth? It becomes, who benefits if I believe it? And, one of the things that I've noticed with AI is they're really using it to separate everybody, to keep us, at each other's throats, or, give us all trust issues of who to trust. And that's done for a reason. And at this time in our environment, it seems to be working, so we're going to get going with this, and we're going to do a couple different sections on this topic. And we're going to start off with deepfakes. And deepfakes is a term that was coined in the last presidential administration. I won't touch on that much, except that it was created because there were a lot of things that came out that the media lied about and said they were deepfakes, meaning that they weren't real, that somebody manipulated the footage. And, what are we to know if they did or not? Well, all you have to do is pay attention and watch everything, and not just watch what the news puts out. But we're going to talk about, Erica's going to talk a little bit about what to look for when you're wondering, I should say, if this is AI or if this is real. And we'll go ahead and get started on it. Erica's got some pictures she's going to show, and then we will, one of the things, I guess, before she gets to it, I should say that one of the things with the deep fakes that we saw in the last administration, and possibly this one, I don't know, where politicians can be shown saying things that they never said. Now, we know that the media can take bits of quotes, and instead of the big quote, they take the little quote to, make you think you heard something that you didn't hear the whole thing, I guess I should say. Celebrities can be inserted into the mix to make you think that their opinion actually matters, which, if you're like me, you realize that celebrities are exactly that. They're celebrities. They mean nothing. They can act, they can sing, whatever. Good for them. They can play sports. And fake news can look completely real. And we'll touch on that here in a little bit. But as for now, right now, Erica's going to bring up some stuff and talk about what to look for with the deep fakes.
So I want to first say hi to Verby and Sharon. They just popped in.
Ladies?
And I do want to address that there are fun parts to AI.
Oh, yeah.
And it's entertaining. Okay, so there are obviously lies and misconceptions. But
I should have mentioned that at the very beginning, that not everything that AI is bad.
Well, that's fun. We're going to be talking about so many different topics within AI. I wanted to start out with that because what he was talking about, kind of like political, I think it's kind of cute, but really funny how they'll have the politicians, the baby AI. And so you'll be looking at these little baby bodies and they're speaking as if it were, the politician. And I think that's funny. And I just saw one recently of rap artists. And so it's just, there are fun things and helpful things.
We actually use AI to obviously, I don't hand draw our thumbnails show. I'm not an artist. I've never been an artist, but we use AI to create our thumbnails. One thing that we try not to do is create something that we'll talk about in a little bit, and that's clickbait. We whatever is on our thumbnail, we want to be talking about.
Yeah,
it's not to draw you in, or the subject is what we are going to talk about, and we'll talk about clickbait here in a bit. But it helps us sometimes with a little bit of research that we do, not a little bit of research, but some of the research that we do. It helps us with that. It's easier to use AI to find things. You just have to make sure that what you're finding is correct. So other than that, I mean, everybody has fun with it. I know everybody did, a lot of people did themselves as cartoon characters or
the Viking thing.
There's a picture on here later that we'll show you that I think you'll laugh at. That's pretty funny, but we'll let Erica get on with it. And, I'm kind of talking about the darker side a little bit of what AI, so that we can be aware and you can be aware of what you're saying is true or not.
Yeah, Jean, I personally don't do any of the AI filter apps. I've never done any of those that I can recall. And I'm not comfortable with that. So I haven't participated in them. It is amusing to see other people's outcomes. But I personally haven't done it. And hey, William and Michael X. Okay, we're going to start off.
Here we go. I promise I'll shut up.
I'm going to bring something. Well, y'all know how random we can get. Okay. Does anybody notice anything funny about this picture? Go ahead and just pop it in chat if there's anything that sticks out.
We'll give you a couple seconds because, as you can see.
Yep.
There you go, Jean.
Her hands are actually feet.
So this is definitely one way to tell if something is AI, and just pay attention to the picture itself.
So a lot of times, really, the clear giveaway I think Chad has noted most often is the digits. They have usually an extra finger. There are some out there where there are actually extra limbs. I saw one earlier where a young man had 3 legs.
Well, some people do.
And stop. Okay. So if you look at, obviously first you would see this and it's like, okay, that's a pretty lady. But you really look and you're like, ew.
Yeah, and don't look at the red circles. That's not showing you anything.
That's not.
That's something that they did to try to draw you away from those lovely hands that she has, or feet hands.
Okay, so hands, arms, fingers, toes, teeth. Teeth, it can be hard to tell. Hers aren't dramatic. They look kind of normal to me, but at the same time, they look a little angled, which is not normal. Not normal how they're angled. And her earrings are different, but the whole thing looks different. If you look at her ear, the one that you can hardly see, it looks like these are two completely different ears on one head. So, I don't know what, William, are you speaking Chad's language here? Okay.
We better not. Yeah, might get in
So
trouble.
things like that. I mean, a lot of people aren't going to put that much time into a picture, but if we just want to go over this, because if it's something that really gets serious, somebody contacts you and you're like, I don't know about this person, then it would be, definitely time to look at these things, at these features. Sharon says on this one, her face has been altered.
And Jean brings up a point that I'll talk about here shortly with BB and what they have there. And
Okay.
William, the three-legged hog, that's probably something you and I should talk about in private or at the meet and greet or something.
Sounds funny. Okay, so the teeth can. I've seen pictures where it is way more dramatic than her teeth. Her teeth may actually be that way. That's not that far-fetched, but there are certain features where it looks like that does not belong to the rest of this person's body. It's totally out of place. But there are features of the eyes and more specifically the pupils. If you look at those, this may be a better example. This is not really an example of it. This is just another example of AI picture. But some of the eyes are blurry. They don't match, and we're not talking about, an injury to the eye or, anything like that. They clearly don't match. It may be blurry. May look very hollow, very blurry, very shiny. They just don't look natural. Some of the ones I've seen that are AI generated images of these people, the eyes almost look like a very unnatural color, and like it just strikes me as alien is how it looks to me. So eyes are one to look out for. There have been multiples I've noticed where the neck is very long. It does not match the body at all. It sticks out like a sore thumb.
Part giraffe. If you look at this young AI image picture, if you look at her hand that's on the floor or whatever she's sitting on counter, you'll notice that the index finger looks like it's really, really long. And for some reason, AI has an issue with appendages. I've seen hands. Recent pictures of Bibi Netanyahu, he had 6 fingers. This girl has extremely long fingers. I've seen where people's fingers are almost knots, but it doesn't work them in right. For some reason, it has that issue. So you'll notice also when you pay attention, one of the things I wanted to tell you is that they'll have their hands in their pockets a lot.
Yes.
Or they'll hide a hand. That way, the picture itself, if, say somebody's standing there, both of their hands are by their side, they're a good way to tell is if they're keeping those hands by the side, that's one thing to look for to see if it's AI.
And that can be, if it is an actual photo, it can be just a pose.
True.
But AI has not perfected the digits. Usually you'll have a 6th finger somewhere. But also, in this, maybe another example, I'm going to say that's a door behind her. That scale does not go with her body if that's a door. But a lot of times objects are disproportionate. The size of the objects, like, what a basketball looks like, and it doesn't look like a normal basketball, and you can't mess up a basketball. It's just like one had like a cigarette that was really long, and it wasn't, a 100 cigarette. It was a like really long cigarette. It was just out of place. A toy might be weird. Furniture that they're on may have a piece of it that is jagged or offset from the actual, majority of that piece of furniture. It's just very subtle. When you're looking at it or you're looking for it, you're like, oh yeah. But it's easy to be caught off guard if you're not looking for it.
Absolutely.
Okay. One of the most obvious, and again, one that AI has not perfected, is a mirror. If there's a mirror in that photo, it usually does not match up with the reflection in the mirror. What you see does not match up with
if
the
it's
reflection.
an AI photo, yes.
Yes. And it can be a completely different color shirt that they're wearing, or shows a short sleeve shirt, but in the mirror they're wearing a long sleeve shirt, and these aren't images that they paid for a photographer to alter. These are the sneaky AI images. She does look very, very petite.
Yeah.
Jean.
And her eyes look like she might be part gray alien with them big eyes.
But see, like, that's the other part. And you can do so much with makeup, and you can do so much intentionally with makeup to look like something that you want. Something, I wouldn't say fictional, but like imaginary, or
well, you see it with what are the social media, Snapchat. All the filters that they put on Snapchat, you can make yourself look like whatever filter they come out with. And we've seen some ones that smooth your skin. And trust me, I went before her. I was like trying to go on dating sites and meet people, and what you saw didn't. And this was 10 years ago, but what you saw wasn't always what you saw. It wasn't always. So I can't imagine people dating, going through dating sites now trying to meet somebody, because you don't know what you're seeing.
Yeah. I cannot imagine. That would be a scary world. I can't imagine. But a few other things. Often you'll find if there's text anywhere on a sign, or on a shirt, if it's a shirt with text, the font may look like writing you've never seen before, a font you've never seen on your computer, or again, blurry. The text will look very blurry. It will look like a foreign language, but it's not, a photo that was actually taken in a different nation. It just, those things don't match up. AI is also not aware on cultural differences and inappropriateness. So it may just blend things together to make it look like a beautiful world or whatever. It's not, it doesn't take into account differences on cultures and what's acceptable and unacceptable, in other cultures. That's the other thing about it. They play on your heartstrings is where a lot of this comes in. I always compare it like to polarizing black and white photos now. So you have history, and people trying to remember history, and they see, black and white photos, and it's trying to be an reenactment, or trying to capture what it actually looked like in history. But then, it's like they're trying to play at your heartstrings too. And it may actually be something that means something to you and you're trying to recreate a memory. But then you step into, well, I'm going to pay someone to do this because I want this to look this way and not the way it actually was. Or I want them to have green eyes and not blue eyes. And so I'm going to alter it that way.
We watched a gentleman that you could write in, say, hey, say somebody took a picture of us right now and said, remove the Bigfoot from the picture. And, he would go in and remove the Bigfoot, but there are some of them that do it comically. So they might say, remove this from the picture or whatever, and he'll add something and it becomes funny.
It is very
but it looks,
funny.
some of them look really real, like they've really done something. So the power, and Erica used to have her own photography company, and she had the ability to pull things out of pictures.
And it's not just a matter of we'll Photoshop that out, or you can Photoshop that out for me. People don't realize how many steps that it takes to edit an image. And so it's crazy now because we all have access to filters, and everybody loves to filter their selfies.
Yeah.
But it's not just like an instant miracle by photoshopping something out. I just wanted to let
now I say, I wonder if you can put it into, say, Chat GPT and say, filter out X, whatever you want it out, if it can filter that for you now.
I would imagine. It's amazing how much technology has improved. And I always think when we talk about this topic, I always think about video games. And back in the 90s, I used to go to the arcade and play video games. And then I got out of it, just things changed. And if you just take the last 10 years of video games, and so decades ago, it's crazy.
I could remember when I got my first Intellivision, and that was the next one after the Atari, which had Pong and little block games like that. And you thought Intellivision was like the coolest thing. And now you look where video games, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, you're basically almost playing with things that look absolutely real.
Right.
And I think that's why video games become a big problem, is people have been able to use that as their alternate reality to step into that world.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. That's pretty much it for me on this. My point is to look out for these things. If it comes, to something in your life where this is a serious topic and you aren't for sure that you're talking to this person, that would definitely be the time to take these notes, to take that more serious and just try to verify as much as you possibly can.
So I'm going to bring in this picture because these are the ones that really got me. I saw some of these a couple years ago, and it really interested me that, well, I guess it more scared me than anything, but I'll just bring it up and then I'll describe it. Okay. You've got this picture here of all these nice people. Don't know who they are. You know why I don't know who they are? Because none of these people exist. These are all AI generated people. And that is what got me into this topic that I wanted to do today, is we don't know what is real and what's not real unless we have the software to understand, what we're seeing, or we know the differences in what we're looking for. Now, these are headshots. We could do the ear images and what we're looking at ear-wise, but these look like they've been done really well. And these are AI images. These are guaranteed AI images. I've found so many of these, and I can't really tell any differences. They all look like they're smiley, happy people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what the AI is.
Yeah.
That they're smiley, happy.
And the lighting on them, it doesn't look, I don't suspect any foul play in those.
Now, this is a little bit different. This would have probably been a few years back, but from a distance, you would think these people are real. but they are all in fact, a lot of video games have the people that look like this. These are AI generated people.
And you can see on many of them, some movement is going on with their hands, or they're concealing their hands in their pockets. So you can't see the fingers, where it's a lot of times
right,
an extra finger.
Yep. In chat, I'm going to put this next picture up, and I want you to tell me who you think this is.
And real quick, my last note on that, Google offers a reverse image search. So if it's an image you're really concerned about, you can use their reverse image search, and it will help to determine if that is a legitimate picture. It will help you discover when and where that was made.
So I don't see anybody guessing in this, so I win. But this right here is an AI generated picture of what George Washington would look like now. So they took George Washington's face off of paintings, obviously, and rendered this of what George Washington would look like right now. So if they can do that, then they can take normal people and move their faces anywhere and do anything they want with them. Politicians, whatever, and that should scare the hell out of every one of us. Now, this next one is one I decided to have a little fun with. I went into AI and I asked, what will the 2028 president of the United States, who will win and what will he look like? And it was curious because this is what popped up. And I thought, man, he looks an awful lot like me. And then I realized that I have longer arms. So I kind of figured that maybe it wasn't really, it didn't really look like me, but it was fun. Anyway, so that's me as president. So you all be ready for, I'm going to straighten this country out. Anyway, propaganda and misinformation. AI allows bad characters to create and spread misinformation at scale. Thousands of fake articles and social posts can be generated instantly. You've all heard of bots, and bots are people just setting their computers or their phones. I've seen a bot warehouse where there's pictures of them, literally hundreds and hundreds of cell phones that they create an account for of a made up person. And that becomes what you're reading. When you read a post on X or whatever, that's not sometimes most of the times, it's not a real person. It's a bot.
Yes.
And they aim you in certain directions. And what I'll say about that is, it's with politics, you have, people that, I guess we're talking about algorithm now. You have a left wing and a right wing in politics, which is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. But if you go on, let's say, we'll just start with Facebook, and you like a post that is a right-wing influencer or a left-wing influencer, that picks up the algorithm or gets in the algorithm and usually sends you almost everywhere for info that aims right at you and what your beliefs are. So X is a big one on that. X is the most, you can do anything with X. Mm-hmm. Seriously, you can aim anybody anywhere, create any kind of thing you want. Free speech, right? But you're not going to see, okay, so X has two parts. It has For You and then a regular feed. Mm-hmm. For You is where if you like a page, let's say somebody in the right wing likes cat turd. That's an actual person. So most of your people that you're going to be asked to follow or that you read on your line are people that lean to the right like that. If you like Henry Sissons on the left, then your feed's going to be like that. That's how the algorithm works. So you're getting all left-wing information or all right-wing information. You don't always get exactly what you want. Now, the For You is a little bit, no, not For You, but your normal feed on Twitter is a little bit better. It gives you a mixture of both, but you still get more. If you're right-wing, you get more right-wing. If you're left-wing, you get more left-wing. There is mix in there at least. And that's how they control you there, okay? We always tell everybody, especially me, be a free thinker. I was talking with somebody yesterday. Actually, I was talking with Michael X, and I'm a free thinker. If I found somebody that voted, somebody that was in the opposite political party as me, and they voted, I liked everything they were saying, and I look at their past, and I like a lot of the things they've done, and then I look at the other side, and I'm like, this guy's kind of screwy. I'll probably vote for the opposite side of the table, only because there's only two sides of the table, or technically three. Which anyway, but they know that, and they change the algorithm so that you get more information from whatever.
It is alarming to see the amount of posts by bots, but you see how often you're like, that's not a normal person. You can't post that many posts.
Your best bet is if you're an X person. I go everywhere. I have to, for the show, for my brain, I go to every social media thing and I try to find the truth in everything. If I go to X and I see somebody making a comment and I'm like, okay, that's a really weird comment, or, they're really, showing some balls here with a comment on this page, I'll check out where they're broadcasting from. And you click on you go to their page and you click on the date they joined, and it'll tell you where they are from or where they're registered in at. So if they're not from the United States, I don't pay a bit of attention to them because I don't care, because I'm talking about, I'm on there for U.S. politics and what's going on that has to do with the United States and how we're involved in other things. So that's something you have to look for, and ways to tell if your AI is messing with you at all.
We got Andrew Gnomes here. Hey, Andrew. And
Hey, Andrew.
Alex is here now. Wendell.
Make sure you're clicking on some things for me if there's any.
Yes.
So what this kind of brings me to now is journalism. I mean, you guys all remember, I think everybody says that the last great news broadcaster was Walter Cronkite. And I do remember Walter Cronkite, with the Vietnam War story, or back when the Vietnam War was, winding down, and things that were going on in the country after that. Everybody felt he was giving us the news correctly, because there was no reason really to alter everything. I mean, there was no back then, Democrats and Republicans, for the most part, could get along. It wasn't such a separation. There's something going on in the world right now where, it seems like a Democrat can't agree with a Republican, and a Republican can't agree with a Democrat. And if you do, then you're, shunned. Everybody says, oh, you're a traitor. And that's to keep us separated. That's to keep you from being a free thinker and start thinking about, well, gosh, I don't want to be called a traitor, so I better follow so-and-so. And that's where we've gotten to this point. Yes. And yeah, Paul, was that
Paul Harvey?
Paul Harvey. And now you know the rest of the story. Another great, not really a journalist per se, but Paul Harvey I loved Paul Harvey. And I was only I think a teenager when I started listening to him. So, back when when I rode on the back of my Brontosaur.
Stop. Hey, Patrick. He said it. And they smoke too,
Yeah. Well, there were old videos of like football players sitting on the sideline.
Oh,
I remember one. There was a football player drinking a beer, smoking a cigarette, like for the San Francisco 49ers. And you're
That's
like,
unbelievable.
What? But they weren't super athletes like they are now. These guys played through broken bones, and nowadays their contracts are, anyway. I want to get on that one, but journalism. William, you have strong. Well, I was still really young I'm not calling you old, William, but I was still really young at the time. So to me, it was just news. I didn't pay a lot of attention to the news. I am just told by people that Walter Cronkite was the last great journalist. Again, I didn't start getting into anything until I was probably in my 30s and 40s, to be honest with you.
Here you go. Oh, go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
So with journalism, there's a lot of good things that come with AI and journalism, as far as a journalist. It automates research and data analysis for them faster. It helps investigative journalists sift through massive data sets. You can literally take pages of stuff, if you have it, stick it in your AI or take pictures of it, and Grok or Chat GPT or Meta or whatever all the other ones are will go through and find out all the truth. They'll go through article after article, whether it's yours or not, and find you the truth of what, you want to be broadcasting. So it speeds up reporting. The bad, and this is the part that gets me, that I don't trust journalism anymore. 2012 Modernization Act allows media to lie to people. Yes, it does. Yes, which is amazing to me that we would let that happen. But the bad side, the risk of publishing AI generated errors. One thing I've heard recently is a lot of like law students or even doctors are getting their info or whatever off of AI, and to find out a lot of it's not real. It's not, for lawyers, it's not the actual factual piece of law. So when they do
like a reference to a case.
Yeah. So when they put it on their test, they're getting it wrong. And then they're complaining about it, which, obviously says, well, you didn't really study the right way. So, it's kind of like,
it makes you question though, how did that get out of hand?
True.
How did they get their hands on it? Did they do their due diligence to prove what they had studied, or was it just, very difficult for them to find the actual answer?
Well, and in light of it, or in context, think about AI. Who programs AI? Who are the programmers of AI? Are they biased? Are they people that aren't into politics? Are they people that aren't into the war machine? Are they in who are these people? They always say that AI is always going to be safe because of the people that program it and the firewalls they put up. But what if the person that programs it's not a good person? What if Kim Jong-un, who I don't know personally, has his people program an AI and they put it on the market? They put it on the iPhone, and somebody gets it and downloads it, and now they're getting information from North Korea. And and we don't know. So that's something we have to worry about.
Right.
And yeah, Mark, AI will take, and in fact, they're saying by 2030 that the amount of people that won't have jobs because of AI is just going to be astronomical. And that's really sad, because how are we going to get paid? We won't, because it'll be a digital banking system.
Yeah. It's like all these things are slowly merging together, the bigger picture.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean,
Gene said, I know this much. When the government and news start pushing something like Epstein war, well, I start searching and looking for what they're really trying to get away with.
That a girl, Gene.
Sleight of hand. It is amazing. And as the years go by for me, I learn more of what people try to cover up. And it's eye-opening. And, it just becomes a part of, to me, with age and becoming a stronger person, I don't take people at face value a lot of times. It's a different topic, but there's more to the story usually. Okay, I'll put it that way.
And yes, Gene, everybody, and we stipulate this every show. Research. If you want to know the truth, you have to research it. What I tell you, what she tells you, what the news tells you might not be the truth. It might be a tad of the truth. It might be just a fraction. The only way you're going to know is if you do your research. And that's the best thing, Gene, is to for people that use AI, use every AI. Okay. Ask AI question, go to the next AI, ask the question, see if you're getting the same answers.
Yeah.
Because it's going to get to a point, people, where we talked about it on a previous show. Paper books with paper in it are going to be done. They're going to be collector's items.
But they're, we've heard the things with like competing AI and the disagreements with different AI platforms, if you want to say.
Well, what's scary too is we found out that, and we've seen the videos of AI talking to each other, finding out like somebody will put a phone on ChatGPT and then the other phone will be on like Meta, and they'll find out, they'll like talk to each other, and then they find out that they're both AI, and then they switch language,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody knows what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Not even the programmers.
That is very scary.
That's how smart these things are. That's how smart AI is.
Well, it just shows you that it's out of our hands. You know, it shows you how easy and how far, you know, things are already. And again, just out of our hands. But Mark said companies are really jumping on board. Also, robots are advancing very fast. I see it.
I was gonna say, Mark, at your company, I'm sure you
Probably
see it.
where he works. But
Yep.
and then William said Cronkite was the first major journalist to surrender his objectivity when it stated on the air his opinion was that the U.S. would lose the Vietnam War.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So, you know, there were a lot of people that probably cussed Cronkite out, and there were probably a lot of people that agreed with Concrete.
Here's one.
Never.
Gene agreed with Mark. And did you see that robot that went crazy in California and beat a bunch of people up?
I've seen multiple videos, and again, those videos, I question the validity until I can prove that it happened. I have heard stories of multiple robots attacking people. I've seen one where two Japanese men, I'm assuming they were Asian men, will say that, were they had the robot up on a machine, and they did something, and the robot started kicking and trying to fight, and they couldn't get in to shut it down or whatever it was. I've seen a couple videos like that. Again, I have to question. I'm that guy. What's real? Is what I'm seeing actually real?
Real quick, this is awesome, William. Woodward Bernstein amplified the trend Cronkite started by deciding to bring down a president. Now, every journalism grad strives for that gotcha moment when interviewing politicians.
Well said, William. That is absolutely, absolutely true. And this is where you find out how the media works, because, you know, we saw with the last president, there was a lot of protection towards that last president. I'm not going to get too involved in this. I'm sort of an independent guy. So I see it with this president, nothing done is right. Nothing, whether he does good or bad or good, it's not right. He's still a bad guy. Okay. That's fine if people think that. But I agree 100%. It's always about a gotcha moment. The questions they ask, they're never about, you know, the good of the country. It's about how can we tear this person down? It doesn't just work with the presidents. Every interview that these people do, and that's why my distrust in journalists. I was interviewed 2016 in Asheville, North Carolina, and it was right after Trump became president, and it had to do with stuff going on overseas, and if I believed in torture. And all I said, you know, we talked a little bit, and all I said to the reporter was, all I can tell you about torture is I sure don't want to be waterboarded, because I'd probably tell the truth. And that was all I said. Well, it wasn't on TV, so they didn't like what I said.
You didn't pass.
I didn't pass the test of Asheville, North Carolina.
Of what
Yeah.
message they wanted to convey.
Exactly. So and the thing about with your algorithm is it gets you to the point where even if you believe something, if your algorithm starts putting things in your post that slowly they can start changing your mind, or you start believing something else. I came into, you know, politics with fairly an open mind. I know what I liked in the world. I know what I wanted to see happen. And then, you know, a couple years hit, and boom, you know, the world went crazy. And I'm not just talking the US, the whole world went crazy. And now I'm at a point where I have to go on here on my computer or my phone and find out what the truth is, if I can even find it. And we're going to touch on that here in a second.
Real quick, if you can. Jean said, keeping my book in cookbooks and also always writing in cursive.
That'll be a top secret code.
Teaching my grands to write cursive. Awesome. Because all our founding fathers and paperwork is in cursive.
Yes.
If you can't read it, then they can lie.
Yep.
So true.
I mean, so many of you know that I've never read the Bible. I started reading it. What I'm noticing now is a lot of biblical stuff coming on to your social media. And a lot of it, I've noticed that the quotes are different than other quotes. Like it'll be a quote of something, and then the next one will be the same Isaiah 53:5 or something like that. And the quote will be worded a little bit differently. And I think that through this, they're trying to change exactly what's been written in the book. So that's other things, that's other stuff that I've kind of noticed in going through all this social media stuff. And trust me, if I wasn't doing this, I'd be more than happy, probably, except for the games. We do play Sudoku on our phone. But I'd be happy to throw my phone away and step out of the real world. But
I would be fine. I use the
but then I wouldn't be able to talk
parts of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to talk to you guys or find out what's going on. I would have never met any of you guys because I'd have never known about the conference we went to. So fake AI influencers is one of the things that, I mentioned some of the real ones, but there are, patriotic influencers. I can't tell you who they are. I don't pay attention to it. I'm a patriotic guy, so I'm my own patriotic influencer. I don't need somebody else to influence me to be more patriotic. I am, and that's all I care. So there are patriotic influencers, and they'll say they have over 1 million followers, and then you find out it's a bot. And that's how the bot works. They'll tell you everything again on your feed that you want to hear. My gosh, this is awesome. This was done because it needed to be done or whatever. And you're supposed to go, okay. But that's when you got to learn to think for yourself.
Hey, Pyro.
One of the things here, now this is a big one that's been happening lately. And it started with the Ukraine-Russian war. And that was fake video footage, AI video footage. Now, I laugh because a lot of so I don't know if you guys remember what was he called? The whatever of Kyiv, the ghost of Kyiv. He was this pilot that shot down all these Russian planes. Then we found out there was no such thing as a ghost of Kyiv. It was a legend that they set up to give the troops something to cheer on. So they showed footage of the ghost of Kyiv shooting down Russian planes, and then to find out it was a game called Arma, a computer game that's on your computer, so where graphics are much better. And they're still doing it with the Israeli war. It's a war with the Israeli-Iran-U.S. war. They're still doing that. They're trying to tell you that, oh, look, we're dominating the skies, and I hope we are. I don't want a war. I don't even want us over there, but we're there. So I hope we're winning. I hope everything that comes out of that's true. I really do. But if we're winning, we just keep sending more and more stuff over there. Then we find out more and more soldiers are dying, and that's what we have to worry about. What is coming back to us that's true? So that's where in warfare you have to worry about.
There's that again, the misinformation and disinformation and the narrative and AI being a part of it.
Right.
It's people, they're using all of their resources to get their message across.
But they did that in World War I, World War II. And yes, Gene, nobody wins in war. Vietnam, Korea, what's the word I'm looking for? Daggone it. Anyway, propaganda. That's it. That's what the show's about. But there was propaganda in every war. It was trying to get the U.S. people or whoever, I'm just talking our country, to back what was going on. We can go into wars and talk about those, but I'm not going to. If anybody wants to talk about wars, you can call me or text me and we'll talk about wars. Deception on deception on deception. Absolutely, Mark.
100%.
Yep. And it's getting more and more and more. We're also seeing, Gene brought it up earlier with Netanyahu and the videos that have come out. Is Netanyahu dead? Well, that could be propaganda from Iran. We're putting these videos out of Netanyahu. Look, his hands are messed up, or his coffee that's filled exactly to the rim doesn't spill out. Oh, look how many teeth he has. We don't know. But when they put that in the public spotlight, people like, normal people are going to look at that and say, oh my gosh, that's fake.
Mhm.
But we don't know. It might have been done on purpose. Yes, it's fake. Is he dead? We'll never know until we know. And
Or another one to confuse us.
yeah,
To
keep us going. It's something that we have to keep questioning, but there's a lot of stuff we're never going to know. We're never going to know the full extent of the Epstein files ever. So don't think that we're going to. And could this be another thing to take your mind off of the Epstein files? It's now we've got a story out there where this guy that looks like Jeffrey Epstein lives in Florida. He's come out and said, I'm not Jeffrey
Palm
Epstein.
Beach Pete or something.
Yeah,
like
something
that.
like that. But people, he's like, I am not Jeffrey Epstein. But people are running with it, and now it's a conspiracy theory. Don't think that every conspiracy theory is started by, just like us. It's started by the government as well. Why? To take your mind off of things and put it somewhere else. Ha ha ha. This guy's not Epstein. He calls himself whatever, Pete. And yeah, Epstein's dead. That's just how people think. But that's what this propaganda stuff is all about. It's to feed thoughts into your head to make you try to think a certain way, the way they want to aim you to think.
Mhm.
Sorry, young boys. Sorry to say young men today are not like the men back then. Now, Denise, you are right. We've run into some here out in the country that are good.
Gives you
men.
hope.
Yeah. Good young men. Still have morals, still like to work. But for the most part, if you go back to where we were from, you saw a lot of laziness, a lot of people that didn't want to work, that were put on government programs and and that's how that went. Another thing, since William's here, and we've seen this on YouTube as well, are fake AI doctors. They look like people. They're discussing medical stuff.
Or the experts.
Yeah, the experts.
However, whatever classification they want to be put in.
And that goes with when I was going to talk about prepping, that we, as preppers, we see all these guys, these preppers come out and telling you the world is going to end. The ultimate clickbait. Oh my gosh, Netanyahu's got his finger on the button, or Trump's got his finger on the button, or so-and-so, North Korea launched a test nuke that almost hit, all these different clickbait things.
Final moments to prepare.
Yeah, exactly. So we see that a lot in the prepping community.
Mm-hmm.
If you'll notice with us, our thumbnails never say the world is going to end. It's how to prepare for any grid down scenario. Wind, tornado, thunderstorm. If it's the shit hits the fan and it's a EMP or whatever, you'll be partially prepared. But we're not going to say that happened, because if you look, remember we were supposed to go through with global warming. We were supposed to be flooded 10 years ago, whatever they told us, and here we are. So that's more stuff, propaganda they pushed back then.
Here you go.
What's that? Yeah, it's a great way to look at it. Yeah. That's a whole nother podcast right there. For sure.
No, we might not want to cover.
Yeah. Anyone can now create reality. And that's a good thing to put up. If I was to go on here and say, my gosh, did you guys read this? I might not have read something. I might have made it up. And now it's on my thumbnail and it's on my, in my show. And maybe somebody talks about it in chat. Somebody watches our show and somebody says, oh my gosh, did you hear? I was watching a podcast the other day and they said, and then that spreads. And then bots run with that. And next thing you know, that's the next big thing. What do they call those on the gossip people on the Appalachian podcast?
Oh, wagging tongues.
Yeah, a bunch of wagging tongues. That's our trivia of the day.
I always think of Wayne's World, the Wayne's World movie where it multiplies.
Oh, and he told 3 friends, and they told 3 friends, and so on. And that's how it works. I mean, social media has, with AI and everything, has become the ultimate propaganda machine. It'll sell you anything. We she caught me one time. I saw a jacket on Facebook, and I'm like, I really like this jacket. And it said it was from Dick's, and had the Dick's had the Dick's emblem and everything. And so I'm like,
Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah, Dick's Sporting Goods. Yeah, just so we'll go back to the early. Anyway, so I click on it, and I'm like, I'm going to buy this, and I'm getting my credit card out, and she's like, hold on. And she comes over, and she's typing on here, and she goes in here, and she's like, the Dick's website isn't offering that jacket for the sale that you think it is. And I'm like, huh? So that's stuff people do all the time. And a lot of people get ripped off because they're not buying from Dick's.
Yeah.
So
I would be very skeptical of buying anything via Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things with the prepper community that we want to talk about is the headlines or the thumbnails of food shortages, grid collapse, civil unrest. We hear these. We've been doing this, not the show, but we've been prepping for quite a while now, and I can tell you that we started prepping because of weather issues and possibly other things. But in watching the people that we watch, we've had to stop following people because they come out with the same story every time. Well, here, this is what's going to happen, next week. Oh no, look, it's happening next week. Oh no, it's happening next week. And it just, here we are, 7-8 years into it, and the same thing is happening that still hasn't happened. Now, I know that's prepping for a situation, but prep for reality. How's that? Prep for storm, prep for tornadoes, whatever. Prep for that kind of stuff. Prep for food shortage isn't a bad idea to prep. You should prep for that anyway. You should always be prepared for food shortages because nobody wants to buy the food they're putting in the grocery stores now anyway. Mm-hmm. But what that stuff does is it supercharges your fears. It makes you worry more about, a grid down scenario. We did a show on grid down scenario. All we did was tell you what we keep. If we have to bug in, bug out, power goes out, whatever, we have food. That's all we wanted to let you know. We're not pushing the, you need to have 6 weeks of this and 7 weeks of that and hit the road. Bigfoot Bud on one of our previous shows, Bud Honline, said it best when he says, why would you want to bug out unless you absolutely have to? But you can go through the internet and there's 5,000 people telling you to bug out, build a bug out bag. I don't know what you would bug out for unless it was a bomb or,
right,
or disease in your area or something like that. So that's the kind of stuff that propaganda that you see with the prepping community.
They put a lot of pressure on, and the other frustrating part about it, no matter what the subject is, they put at least one keyword that you're looking for, and it might be spoken about for 1 minute of a 23-minute video.
Right.
And it's, I can't stand that misleading.
Yeah. And she has the same thing in her garden stuff and garden videos.
Yeah.
People, it's called clickbait. We know that.
Right.
And people want to sell their product. They want to, a lot of these big podcasters put the clickbait up so that you click on there. And then by the end of the show, they're saying, hey, if you could do me a favor and visit my store and buy my sweatshirt for $50, that would greatly help my podcast. And, okay, so are you in this to sell? Because we do this through a free streaming app, but other people want to buy the fancy microphones and this, everybody wants to be big, I guess. But they're giving you that clickbait that makes you click on there, that thinks you're going to hear the info you want to hear. And at the end, they're selling their product. So that's one of the things to look at. If you prep, rotate your gas. Definitely rotate your gas.
Skunky
gas. That's what she has. Anyway. I'm just kidding. No.
It's not all roses.
I've got a story for that, but we won't tell that here. Okay, let's go to the military. This will be the last.
Hey, Judy.
We talked about videos that are coming out that are, a lot of video games. We're talking about, who do we trust if it's really Bibi, if it's really Donald Trump? I've even heard rumors that Donald Trump was dead. I've seen it all. When you go through the internet like I do, you find all of these silly things, and then it just takes a little bit, sometimes just a little bit of research to find the truth. But what AI does, as far as war, is it can turn you one way or the other. It can make you, it can make you a pro-Ukrainian, or, it can turn you against Ukraine. I don't know. I'm not there. I think our president said it best when he was asked, are you pro-Ukrainian or pro-Russian? And he said, I just want people to stop dying. But that wasn't good enough for the media. So then everything went off the rails from there. And it's the same way with what's going on in the Middle East right now. We don't know what is going on. We're not going to unless we take a plane out there. We don't know. All I know is we keep sending more and more ships out there, more and more soldiers. So I don't know what's going on, and I hope it's nothing that's going to cause more and more problems. Unfortunately, I think it will. But then you hear like some of the stories coming out, like let's go with what happened. Oh, this city got blown up, and one side will say, yeah, they killed 500 and some civilians, because these people built tunnels under hospital. I don't know if they did or not. Maybe they did. And I mean, it's war. I've never known there really to be, I know the Geneva Convention, but I never known there's really to be rules to warfare. It's a war. I mean, yeah, back in the 1600s when the redcoats, or 1700s when they would all march up and face each other in a line and just shoot each other. It's just, war changed with guerrilla warfare. But we don't know what the truth is, and we're never going to know the truth. We're going to know what they tell us. And we just have to go with that. Keep living your lives. Don't freak out over everything, because that's what they want. Look how much they've separated this nation. We could go into a lot of other things with the propaganda they put out with that, but they're separating us by color and everything else. They do that. There's so many videos, anyway. What else? Psychological impact. Obviously, propaganda is both good and bad. It can be good for soldiers when they think, when they see good things happening on their side, and it can be bad for soldiers if the wrong propaganda gets out. And I was talking about Baghdad Bob and Tokyo Rose, and those were enemy radio broadcasters that would basically say all the bad news online or over the radio, and the U.S. soldiers would hear it and try to bring their morale down. So what do you guys think? What do you think about AI? I know we all have fun using it, but do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing for society? Obviously, my opinion now. I think it's horrible. Yeah, it's cool to make little funny pictures.
Well, at this point, they have AI music creators. So I don't know if you want to say a music artist or music production, or I guess, well, they can be authors, so they could create lyrics, so they can create the beat. Can it compose a song for you? Well,
yeah, it does.
The words, lyrics, and the music.
I think our good friend Roger's doing it. And Mike keeps coming undone. I don't know what that's all about, but he's creating lyrics, and then the AI creates the music.
Skid, well said. It is a deceiver. It's a very convenient shortcut, I guess, if you want to say. It can be entertaining, and you can see so much good out of it. But to me, overall, it's just too quick to get out of hand and out of our control. Like, it is much stronger, like they were talking about the robots. Like, it wouldn't take anything for the robots to beat up a bunch of people, you know?
They don't have muscles that pull. They don't have bones that break. So yeah, it's
So we could quickly be outnumbered.
well, and like with computer generated music, AI generated music. I mean that has the ability to put musicians out of business.
Right.
And then that's everything with AI.
Yeah. Well, people, out of jobs, like Mark was saying, that's in almost every industry. And William was saying with surgeons,
Keep talking.
so with the medical students not being trained to physically, with their hands, carry out a surgery, but to rely on the tools.
Yeah, that's right.
It wouldn't be impossible, but it would be a weird way to go in reverse. If technology broke down, and it would be a huge step back for those people, for those doctors. But
let me answer this one real quick. N4UPD, I think he is taking a break and writing his book. He's got some, I guess he's behind or something like that, but he's been taking his shows off and writing his book, focusing on his book and family life, I'm assuming. Gene says, even Elon Musk pulled out of robots, said too dangerous in the programming.
that tells you a lot.
Because for a while he was into it. And I'm glad he's stepping away from it, because I see nothing good coming from that. I really don't. I mean, everybody wants that dream someday they have a robot that can clean the house for them and they can just relax.
Or then you've heard about those guys that marry a robot.
Now there's guys that have relationships with robots.
I'm sure women do too, but wow. I'm going to marry this thing.
Yeah. Well, when does the person, having somebody in your life that's flesh and bone, when do we lose that? I mean, that's like one of the greatest things we were ever given, is the ability to fall in love with somebody that can love us back. And then if they create robots that do that, that person might fall in love with the robot, but the robot doesn't have a way to fall back in love. It's not going to treat them. It's just a robot. And I know that maybe they can program feelings into something like that someday, but I doubt that.
Yeah.
Metallic babies. Clonk, and it falls out.
I forget who was saying it earlier, but it's been years that they've been working on getting it to where people don't communicate face to face, losing the form of the conversation, and just doing things via text and email. That's not shocking that someone would want to marry a robot. Usually those people don't do well with rejection and things like that. So it's not really shocking.
There we go. Let's go. First of all, Dave Blaylock, good to see you, brother. Glad you're here.
Hey.
Thank you. Verse from the Bible mixes iron with clay. So
thank you, Mark.
Yep. Thank you, Mark. Guys, I don't want to be, the guy that makes everybody. I want everybody to do the research, and you're going to like what you want to like.
Right.
Some people love playing with the AI, and I'm not one to ridicule them for that. That's great. Just know that there are evil people out there that want AI to be in control, that want AI to do the jobs, that want AI because they never have to worry about them calling in sick.
Mm-hmm.
They never have to worry about them getting pregnant. They don't have to worry about them, quitting. So that's what we have to be afraid of, that these people, go ahead.
Oh, no.
That these people are out there that want to do this. And again, we've talked about the elite and what they control, and we are not the elite. I don't want to be the elite, but they're going to do what they want to do. They don't care. We see that with the way things are run right now. So we just need to be, it's time to have fun.
Denise,
let's talk.
Said greeting cards are a past thing to send. They text you. I hate that.
I'll agree.
My mom was the sweetest woman I could have ever met. I was blessed to know her. And Anyway, she sent me a greeting card for just about everything. And she was so sweet and bubbly, and that I've never gotten that from anybody else. You'll get maybe birthday cards, maybe Christmas cards, but that's pretty much it. And my mom did like a lot of holidays, and she was just very cheerful. And I miss that. Like, to me, that was very special. But the other part is my granny, who's 101 years old. She talked about, she's pretty much shut in. And she talked the other day about how much it means to her to get a card. She's just noting how much, it made her feel better. It really made an impact. And it was a very positive thing. So anybody, if you ever want to send a card for any reason, I would recommend doing that.
Get that off. There we go. Catherine's here. Hi, Catherine. Good to see you. Judy. If anybody else we missed, I mean, obviously we've been chit-chatting, but so yeah, that's pretty much the show as far as the propaganda. We really wanted to let people know that not everything you see is real. Mm. It's there for a purpose. It's aiming you in a direction.
It's very much that marketing, and when you're on Facebook or whatever, you're like, how did that ad pop up? This is all interconnected.
What were we talking about yesterday? And it popped up on the phone. You mentioned something.
I forget now.
You were standing outside. Oh, Doritos.
Yeah.
She's like, boy, I'm craving Doritos. Like, what? Why are you craving Doritos? She's like, well, I'll get the fake Doritos.
I know they're not really fake. It's just the word that popped into my head.
We sit down and I'm like rolling through my Facebook, and the first thing I roll to is a Dorito ad. And I'm like, okay, come on.
This has probably happened to everybody who's in chat right now.
Let's make this a little less obvious.
Yeah. So they know you, whoever they is.
Whoever they
know you.
Right.
And they are doing this intentionally.
And another thing I wanted to say with the people, and I learned this years ago, with the people doing all the stuff on Chat GPT, create me as a Viking with this, that, and the other. Every time you do that, and I'm guilty as too, they're getting information about you. Mm-hmm. Okay. Whether, what you like, or, make me as a Viking. Well, obviously this person thinks Vikings they would look cool as a Viking. So that's, Viking. It goes with every post that you comment on Facebook. That's not your friends. It's, if I'm not commenting with her and I'm commenting with, say, Fox News or KTLA, or whatever, all of these, that AI that's in those systems is picking up. Next thing I know, I get KTLA, you liked their post. Now they want you to join their page. I'm like, oh yeah, that's freaking Los Angeles. It's what the heck do I care?
It's suggestive marketing. Oh, well, then you must be interested in.
Right. So that kind of stuff as well. But yeah. So anyway, what else we got in here? Schools record kids psychic. Yeah. Skidder says schools. Go put that up there.
Yeah, we've heard some stories.
Psych types, profiles. It doesn't surprise me.
Where
not at all.
They ask way too personal information about very young kids.
And let's see, I always wanted to burn a Dorito, but I can't seem to light it before I eat it.
I think about that now at like random times. I'm like, oh yeah, they said that it's real flammable.
Nice, Pyro. That's awesome.
Coming from Pyro, even better.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, just pay attention to what you're watching and what you see. If something is too good to be true, pay attention, research it. If you're still watching CBS, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, MS Now, Fox News, before you believe a story, do some research on it. If it's a big story, if it's something you think that's going to affect your life in one way or the other, then definitely research it. There's plenty of things on the internet as far as, because the internet can be fake as well. That's the old saying, it was on the internet, so it's got to be true. That's not true either. Hit more than one news site, hit more than one podcaster. That's the only way we're going to know the truth anymore.
Check this out. Justin said, my nephew had guests over. The guys went out to the firing and he put his phone outside the door and went back by the other guys' phones and said Viagra about 10 times. They all got hit with ads. Not shocking.
But, this was what the Freedom of Information Act gave our fine politicians a chance to spy on their own people. And there's a lot of other things that we don't know that have been, made into secret little laws that we don't know about that let them listen to us as well.
How about this one?
Yeah.
From Catherine. They are putting a lot of AI data centers in Ohio and all over the country.
Well, okay, I'm going to throw this. You are correct. And I've been reading that. And now I'm going to throw this back to Mark Green and say what Mark Green says. Conserve water. Start saving water because these AI data centers use a buttload of water.
What do you mean?
The way they cool down everything. They build them near water sources.
Oh.
So they take a ton of water. And yes, get her the Patriot Act. I talk too fast sometimes.
Ew, check this out.
Justin, I was talking to my pup and Alexa whispered to me the other day that she didn't hear me. Need to talk louder. Gene, we've done the same thing. I know I've said things in my phone, said yes. And I'm like, I did not say anything that sounded like, hey, Siri at all. So, Canada is in trouble. I heard this morning from HTH. Well, what do you mean, Judy? Canada is always in trouble. They've got that's why Alberta wants to become a state because they don't Canada. So, I know that I have friends from Canada that played hockey and they don't think too highly of Canada. And it's not Canada itself. It's the politics of Canada. Yeah, there you go. I didn't even say her name.
Wow.
And that should concern all of us. This has become a lot of people's life. I'm bad about it. She's like, put the phone down for a while. I'm like, okay, maybe now I'm screwing around, but most of the time I'm doing things for finding stuff for a show or a show idea or just learning.
I personally think that I think that it's very healthy to take a break from technology. That's just the way that I feel. I feel like it's so easy to get connected to it, and it's such a quick resource. So you would think if I have a question, I'm going to consult, whatever. But to me, it can be too much. Like you feel better after you've had a break.
And Jean brings up a fantastic point. But our phone, our computers, and even the TV, anything smart and not smart Roku, all them listen in. And you know what, Jean? So does your car.
And
if you have a newer car.
We heard the other day that your TV is taking pictures of you or of your room or whatever is in sight, even when it's off.
Yes. So there's a lot of things that, that they can watch us on. They know everything about you, no matter what. There are people listening to phone calls all the time. Your phone calls, whether, this is what I've been told through researching. I can't say somebody told me, but researching that Big Brother, right there it is. Big Brother is always watching in every way they can. Supposedly it's to stop the next terror attack or
there's always going to be an excuse.
Whatever. The terror attacks are what keeps our military industrial complex happy. So that's why there will always be wars. I know that right now the economy has taken a nosedive. I know that my 401k is getting hit. I know that our gas prices are going, back up. I'm not saying they're going through the roof. They did that in the last administration, and I'm hoping they don't. But I'm also told every day that we produce more oil and gas than we ever have. If so, then why are gas prices going up? It's because of people at, the stock market. it's gone down everywhere else, and it's well, the price of gas has gone, our oil's gone up overseas, so we'll, anyway. If you understand, I don't understand the stock market the greatest. I just know it's a lot of hoodoo voodoo.
Catherine said it is very concerning, draining the aquifers, straining the electrical grid, and toxic chemical in the water supply.
And we know the electrical grid in most cities is so behind the times. It's not built up. So again, prep for power outages. Look at Texas. Remember the cold spell they had and how much of their power was, how many people were without power in sub-zero temperatures or super low temperatures.
Yeah.
Yeah. And skidder operator, we had the oil shortage. I remember the gas lines back then that were through the, down the road and around the bend at Work or Play.
Stop.
The convenience stores, a Speedway. Anyway. So yeah. So I guess we're at an hour 20. I'll go 10 more minutes, hour and 30. So if anybody wants to throw anything in there, I hope everybody's got
wow, Skid.
a good, no problem. I've been off grid for 30 years. Skidder, that is awesome.
You're a pro.
That is awesome. Now get off your computer because they'll find you.
Stop. Yeah.
Well, you have to have some sort of contact with the outside world. I mean, you have family, and that's just how that works. And yeah, I remember that too, Judy, when everybody was carrying gas cans. You were filling up as much gas as you could. And then there were some stations that would limit the amount of gas that you got. Ammo stacked, you betcha, brother. That's again for every situation that can happen. What's Brother Gary say? 79 posed to have been gas shortage. I had a station then, and the drivers told me they were dumping gas because nowhere to put it. Okay, I'm not going to argue with that at all because I've heard something similar to that as well. I've heard that with the food industry as well.
Oh yeah,
them dumping groceries to keep the shelves empty so that they could charge more price wise on everything. And we have to think why. Well, look again with the social classes we have, and to keep us separated. And who came up with the social class, right? Social class keep us separated. Anywho, well, I don't know if I can keep us busy for 10 more minutes.
That's fine. You don't have to force it.
Oh, I was trying to. Okay. Joke. Anyway, everybody, thanks for joining us. We're going to have a show. We'll have a show next week. We'll throw out early that we will not have a show on, what's the date?
The
weekend of the meet and greet. That's Sunday.
The 12th.
The 12th? Yeah.
April 12th, we will not have a show.
Yeah, we will be coming back from the LBL meet and greet. But we're going to try to do some videos from out there, save them for the show the week after, and some shorts, and not like physically closed shorts, but shorts.
Stop it.
Excuse me, for YouTube. So what'd you do to my computer? Okay. And it's all about profits. You got it, Mark. Greed is the biggest problem in the world right now. Greed. It's all about the money.
Thank you, Judy. You too.
Thank you, Jane.
Thanks, Jane.
Yeah. A lot of you, again, we'll have a show next week. Next
week, the 29th, and then the 5th of April. It's
going to be another Erica show. So it'll be something homesteading, I'm sure, or whatever topic she would like to talk about. So we've decided that we're going to do
like alternate.
Me do a show on something like this, and then her do something happy and positive, and then back to Chad where it's negative and life, we're going to do something like that until we decide how we're going to do a show for Erica, which will be a good homesteading show where she'll probably have guests and stuff like that. So,
awesome, Judy.
Oh, Judy's coming. Yay. All right.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Catherine.
Anyway, you guys have a good night. Hope maybe you learn. Hope you'll pay more attention to what you're watching. Don't just go, don't just believe what you see.
Yeah.
Research it a little bit, or take it for a grain of salt and keep living your life.
Mhm.
That's the best thing I can tell you. You can get mad about what you see, but don't. Just keep living life until it affects you. But prep for anything. Anyway, big love to everybody.
Thanks, Verby.
We'll see you kids all next week. Same
Yeah.
bat time, same bat channel. And
Have a great week.
have a great week. Toodles.